Hello there, Vic Benedict here. We're playing Gears of War 4 on the PC on Inconceivable difficulty. This is my solo guide and walkthrough. We're currently on 3-3. It is entitled At the Doorstep. So, if there's one fundamental piece of advice that I could give you on this chapter, folks, is that the long shot is, in many instances, indispensable. Certainly on the last fight, it's indispensable. And that word doesn't mean it's necessary. It just means that it's going to be extremely helpful for you on at least on the last fight, because the last fight's a long fight, and you are very likely to be served by having the long shot. So I'm actually up to 3-6 Origins. But I decided to come back to this chapter, which, as you can see by the length, it's not a short chapter, and I decided, let's start over. Let's just do the whole video over, because I wasn't satisfied, and if I'm not satisfied, stuff starts getting deleted. You know me in my channel. So that's the reason why. Well, I should say the reason that I started over. God damn, I was really bold on this part over here. I was really bold getting away with highway robbery over here. But yeah, I decided, I enjoyed this chapter, and I wanted to fine-tune it and come back with a little bit more retrospective and see if we can't get the audience to be better served, because I want my audience to be served in the best way possible. So, how are you doing? My name is Vic Benedict. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is my channel, Vic Benedict Productions, and we're going to get you through this stage. Since I've gone through this chapter twice now recently, I'm trying to think if maybe you're going to have any hard times. I really don't think you are going to have many hard times. Now, hard times are possibly coming for you, so you do want to, at least know that if you want to be careful about, your ammunition. Have I told you guys that you can actually, the same way that enemies can mantle over cover and stun you, you can do the same to enemies. So, if you want to do that, rather than yanking them over cover and then stunning them and knifing them, you can just vault over cover, and that will stun the enemy. I have figured out this whole counter business too, because I thought there would be a little bit more something visible to the whole counter system, but when enemies are just mantling over cover, you do get a very small window, and we could talk about this in a moment, because I like to talk about this part over here. I've switched out the Gnasher for the Hammer Burst, and at this point, look at the way those enemies strafe. Very difficult enemy, and we are going to be doing a fairly difficult part that involves juvies coming up, and be careful too, because what are we on, 3-3? Yeah, the next chapter has that juvies and pouncers fight. So anyway, when you come up over here, there's going to be a hold a seal. So if you've already got 4 frag grenades, just toss one over here, or toss a couple, and then you can replenish those after the fight's done. Now, midway through this fight, you're going to have 2 long shot enemies spawning at the end of the arena. Now, I'm going to be incredibly bold over here and actually pick up the boom shot that's in this crater over here, and I'm gonna get on these snipers as soon as I possibly can, because I don't want them to have the ability to fire their long shots too many times, because if they get to firing their weapons, I could lose out potentially on the drop when I kill them and I pick up their weapon. If they've fired too many times, that means I'm not going to get very much ammunition back. So here is where the snipers come out. Now, on their heels are going to be juvies. So if you don't kill these guys fast enough, you're gonna have to deal with them and juvies. And if juvies are pushing you out of cover, these guys have the ability to just instantly kill you. While you're trying to fuss with the juvies if you're not in protective if you're not in a protected area. But you may have noticed that we were able to quickly take out those snipers. And now when we go over here and collect our ammunition, you'll see that we got 2 and 2. So that's 4. Now, I've been a little bit slower to kill those guys in the past, and I only got 3. So that does go to show you that you can be best served with your weapon pickups by killing enemies more quickly. That frame rate's beautiful too. I can't imagine playing this game at 144. I can't even imagine what that would be like. But just remember too, guys, that I edited out all the looting. So I went back and picked up the frags, and I maxed out my Lancer ammunition over here. This possibly has the potential to be an area where you're going to struggle with ammunition conservation, because I would warn you not to use the long shot on anywhere that you don't need to use it. This is close range combat, so there's no reason to use it here. This area over here has several swarm enemies. Your standard drones, possibly a grenadier. Anytime you see an enemy throwing those, I think they're called bolo grenades or anything like that. Those are the grenadiers. So you've got to watch out for any projectiles that might be coming your way because of those guys. Do I counter? Okay. See, that just shows you what the counter is. They'll jump over, you press B, and you're pressing B while actually, you'll kind of slap the enemy and stun him. I don't know, if slap is the right word, but you kind of backhand the enemy, and then that gives you the ability to not be killed, and also it gives you the chance to, do what you want to the enemy. There's a possibility that backhand will give you the Y prompt to knife them, and I think that's what it is actually. So what I've now done is I've switched the long shot for the hammer burst. I'm going to be picking the former back up after I clear the pouncers and the next wave of enemies. These pouncers, although their quills can sometimes instantly kill you if you're not completely in cover, the pouncers don't ever come into this area beyond the arches. So that reasoning, that doesn't apply to drones. Drones can come back here. They don't always do it, but they can. I've seen them come back here. So just remember to forestall a fail state on your behalf. Make sure that if a teammate has had a pouncer jump on him, you need to shoot as much ammunition into the pouncer that has jumped on your teammate as quickly as possible. And that means that you just shoot them anywhere. It doesn't have to be necessarily on their weak spot. Just shoot them so that you don't get a fail state for yourself. And okay, guys. And then once you've killed 3 pouncers, then the door at the end of the this, I'm not sure what this is, if it's some sort of a refectory or something, but you're going to notice that the door is going to burst open, and you're going to have at the very least one enemy rushing into this room. Ammunition conservation. I mean, it's something to keep your eye on. If you come here with the max bulletry for the Lancer, we're also not going to forget to pick up that long shot. The long shot that I switched for the hammer burst, that was only just a temporary thing. I'm going to be picking up the long shot. It's not going to go anywhere. So now this is the final wave of this confrontation. It's going to be all of these swarm members over here. One of them is a grenadier. I don't know his position necessarily. Now there is going to also be one guy dug in, pretty much in the room that these guys burst out of. and I'm pretty sure they're just like standard hammer burst wielding drones, is what it is. And you have to remember too that you've got a lot of progress writing on all this. You don't want to push up too much, because they can push you out of cover if they charge at you, and they are enemies that have penchants for charging you. They're very aggressive. Oh, there's a grenadier. Did he just? Yeah, he just threw something our way. That one of those guys is the grenadier. I don't know who he is. It's probably the guy with a Gnasher. And then once there's one guy left, I'm not sure if he stays dug in or if he charges. I think he just charges out of the room, just completely disinhibited, just runs out of the room without a care in the world. And that's that's something that you need to watch out for. See, this is also a good technique too. Anytime you can lean out of cover without necessarily removing yourself from cover, it's really good. See, just lean out of cover so that your character's profile is still behind cover. It's really helpful. Holy shit. Did you see that? And I still think there's somebody left too. That guy must have completely got past my radar. So what I would recommend, guys, yeah, holy shit, look at this. Look at this. Look at the disinhibition on these enemies over here, if you can call a human emotion from an AI disinhibition. But what you now want to do is switch back to the long shot. We've got four. See, we've only got 4 rounds for the long shot, and you don't get any long shot ammunition from these weapon drops over here. And I also have looked at my Insane Guide footage, and it looks like, roughly speaking, you get about 50% less ammunition from pickups in general. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Okay, so now we're going to leave this room and approach the museum area. There's going to be a long shot over here, so get yourself ready for a great pickup coming up over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sprint our way over here, pick up the long shot, and it's going to give you a lot of ammunition too. I think it gives you 8. Yeah, 8. So now we have 12 rounds of the long shot, and I'm going to use 2 of those 12 rounds. So I'm going to switch my shoulder perspective over to the left and take care of the guy on the turret. Now there's also going to be one guy to the right of him that will either go downstairs and join his other swarm members down here, or he will do what he normally does, which is to jump back on, or excuse me, to replace the guy who was on the turret before. Now, if you want to use more long shot ammunition, go for it. But I'm telling you, long shot ammunition for the final part, where it's a really long area with no checkpoints and you're fighting enemies at distance, long shot ammunition on that fight is like gold. So I'm only disposed over here to use just no more than 2 rounds. Because there's going to be one more area where there's long shot pickups, but they're not going to be too much. So if you can get to the final area with like 10 to 12 ammunition for your long shot, you're going to be in great shape. Like I came to this part on my Insane Guide with, I didn't even have a long shot. That's how much I seem to just not even care about what I was doing on my particular campaign, because I could have redone the chapter. So anyway, we're gonna progress over here and just take out the 2 or 3 enemies that are left, and then you're gonna be asked to defend this museum up here. There's a see the museum up ahead? It's got a turret up there, and it's got some unique points of interest and things like that you can check around with on your own time. There's also an ammunition crate back here, so you can pick that up. See, on insane difficulty, it would be giving you over 200 rounds for your lancer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the museum, but be warned, there is going to be a threat in here, namely the juvies, for whom I'm placing that frag grenade as a means of defense for myself in. And there's also going to be at least one to two drones in that room. But as always, it's the juvies that are the difficult part. See, there's the juvies jumping over that staircase rail over there. And the juvies are just I mean, you saw that juvie strafe. You saw them strafe. They jump in very erratic ways, and if you've got several of them chasing you, it's very difficult to survive. So just be warned. Your teammates might encourage you to come into the museum, and even they might even tell you that the coast is the coast is quote unquote clear, but don't trust them, because I've never got killed because I thought my teammates knew what they were talking about, because they don't. Never just assume face value that your teammates are talking about anything that is even remotely true. I mean, they'll tell you to go up the stairs when you've got an enemy crouching behind, a piece of cover, and they know about it. So just before you head on up the stairs where the turret is and where you're going to get your checkpoint, just make sure all of your bases are covered up here. And in a moment, you're going to get a checkpoint. However, I think there's another threat up here right before you get your checkpoint. Yes, that's the threat. It was a juvie and possibly something else. Yeah, a couple of juvies. Okay, so you see where the ammunition crates are? Right about there is where you're going to get your checkpoint, and then you're going to be jumping on the turret. And don't worry about jumping on the turret at first. What I do is I pretty much just stay on the turret until I feel the threat of death, and then I jump off. Did I mention that you can cool down the turret by pressing right bumper? You can only cool it down though while you're not firing, so just bear that in mind. Either, if you could cool it down while you were firing, it would just it would break the whole system of firing and managing the temperature of it. But now I came down here pretty early, guys. Normally what I do is I fire the turret until I get the opaque death omen on the screen, and then I jump off, and then I use the boom shot to kill as many people as I can, and then I come down. But it doesn't really matter when you come down. There's one admonishment that I want to tell you, and that is, if you hear the scream of the screamer, if you hear him peeling off his scream and you're on the second level, you've done it wrong, because to cross the air where we need to cross with these juvies screaming and all attacking is best done early, not late. So, did you see the frag grenade that I tagged in that little closet room? That is for one of the spawners later. So, if you remember nothing else, just remember this piece of advice: when you hear the juvie screaming, you need to be on the ground floor. Like when you hear them screaming, like you need to be, like, if not running, then preparing to run to the other side where we're at now. Okay? And then what I do now is I wait until I hear my frag go off, the one that I just tagged into that closet area, then I go up. So Why do I do that? Well, I do that because that lets me know that not only that threat has been removed from the equation, it also tells me that I can proceed up here and kill the last set of juvies without having to worry about this spawner that you're going to see his chunks in this little closet area. When I pass by and look in it, you'll see his chunks of his dead body. Because I don't want to be out here killing the remainder of the juvies and have this spawner over here whose chunks that I'm showing you now in that area. I don't want him turning on me. Now, of course, you can just hang back and wait until all of the juvies have rushed you. But the thing is, all of them won't rush you until you cross a tripwire point. Like the second spawn of those juvies, you'll be waiting back there forever. So you have to push forward a little bit. So my reasoning ultimately is, well, let's just kill that spawner in that closet area, take the cue from hearing that detonation, then push forward, remove that threat, and then push forward, cross the tripwire point, have the rest of the juvies spawn, hang back, finish them off, and then push forward to the museum. But your job's not done because you're going to have a couple guys left in here most likely. And they can be difficult to see where they are, so look in the direction of where your teammates are firing. That will betray the enemy's location. But still, you're going to have juvies accosting you before you get your next checkpoint. And managing juvies is very one of the hardest things to do in this game. So we don't, yeah, see this? Now, no, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. That was a mistake to be right there when all these guys rushed out. So what I should have done is I should have put a couple of frags on the ground, tagged them, so that I could have prevented this, because this almost ended my session. I almost had to start over. Now, if you're worried about using frag grenades, well, you don't have to. If you already have two, there's going to be a replacement two for you up here. So now you get a checkpoint. Now you can proceed. That's the best way to handle it. Otherwise, if you want to try to defend this whole area, go for it. But I'm telling you, it's not a reason. It's possible, probably. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's unreasonable. Okay, so now I'm giving Kate the boom shot that I didn't use earlier, and we're going to go on to the next section after we locate the frag grenades. They're over here. So, just stock up on everything. You should be good to go. We're going to cross this area over here that has nothing to my knowledge. There's probably a collectible in that area, but I do know that there aren't any weapons. There's some weapons over here to the right if you want to go over there. And then we'll deal with the rest of the video. Alright, so now we're going to be heading on over to the area right before the final area. So after you open these doors, you're going to be in this room over here where you're going to see a buzzkill. If you want it, go for it. I always pass up on those items. Now, there's going to be two holes, two hotbeds to seal up right over there. They're easily sealed. And don't worry about using your grenades unless, for instance, if you have just two. If you have four coming out here and you toss two, see the crater that we just caused to be in existence right in front of us? There's a pair of frag grenades in the hole right ahead of us. One of the enemies that we just killed had a lancer, probably this guy. So just remember that those guys are the most deadly in this game because of the suppressive nature of their weapon. Okay, now this hole up here, and it's not a hole. I'm just going to call these hotbeds. This hotbed up here, I did use a grenade on it. The holes are kind of funny because, like a box of Cracker Jacks, they always seem to give you a prize. They don't all give prizes. The second hole that we sealed at first, or hotbed, Remember when we came into this area, I threw a frag grenade at the hole to the left and then one to the right. Well, the one to the right doesn't have anything. But the hole up ahead, that has a pair of incendiary grenades. So if you want that, those, you can have those. They're up there. I don't like them. I also don't like the fact that you can only carry 2, not 4. When I believe you should be able to carry 4. They're not overpowered. It's ridiculous. But once you kill the final drones, then you're going to get another checkpoint right before you shoot the counterweights that are holding the bridge up, and then you're going to be assaulted by 2 guys with long shots and one Nasher drone. So if you want to, you can just shoot down one. Shooting one of the counterweights will spawn the enemies, but your teammates are likely to shoot the other counterweight just by the nature of their hectic gunfire. So again, what you want to do when you get over here is that you want to take care of the guys with the obviously defend yourself against the guy who charges at you, the guy with the Nasher. But try to make sure that you kill these guys as quickly as possible so that you can get the maximum amount of long shot ammunition, which on this difficulty appears to be 2. Now, if they fired a little bit more, I'm sure we only would have got 1 per drop. But we were fast, and we knew that we couldn't cause them to waste too much. Now, when you get into this area, there's a pair of frag grenades over here in a box. There's also a boom shot in the little glue pot on the ceiling. And now you've got the area that I've been warning you that you need the long shot for, and it's for the snipers specifically at first, but it's also for anybody at long range. So we did pick up a boom shot. There's a grenadier put down right over there. The boom shot that's in the ceiling will give you a random amount of ammunition from it. It gives you anywhere between 2 to 4 rounds. So if you're lucky, you get 4. If you're unlucky, you get 2. If you're somewhere in between, it'll give you 3. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to pick back up the long shot, and we're going to train our fire on the sniper down here. We've took out the one across the way that was up above. And now we're going to take out the one down here. And then after you have, dealt with... I didn't think I had my long shot equipped right there. I wouldn't have used my long shot there. But what you don't want to do is after you kill this guy, if you're up here, you don't want to jump down because you can't mantle back up here. So once you've killed the last guy... One of the teammates will tell, I think it's Kate, will tell you that there's another batch of enemies coming, and then you've got the same situation here, and you can actually headshot this guy from around the corner. And then I would say you can, it doesn't, if you jumped down here, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'm just saying that it's safer to take care of that second sniper from up there. Now what we're going to do is fend off more drones, some of whom will charge you. So, and there's also going to be another sniper down here as well. So what's going to happen while you're doing this is that from time to time you're going to see guys charging you, and if you want to, you can just shoot them as they're charging you, which is highly possible. But while you're shooting them, you might be getting shot at, so it's not always possible. So if they jump over and if they're facing you, then a chainsaw war will commence. if they jump over and they're facing away from you, a chainsaw war won't commence, because what happens is you're just going to saw them in half from behind. So you don't have any control over it, really. Besides that, the chargers are either going to jump over the wall that they just did, or they're going to come over here to the right and attack your teammates. And if they attack your teammates, you're not safe, because they could actually turn their attention to you if you're not lucky. And that's not a good thing, because this whole area, this is like a 10-minute fight, and there's no checkpoint. I wouldn't call it a necessarily difficult fight unless you didn't have a long shot. A long shot over here is very helpful. Okay, here's the second sniper over here. And this whole time, you're going to be attacked from guys to the right, that sniper in the middle, and anybody who sees fit to charge you. And believe me, like, you can get into the deer in the headlights syndrome, where you see these guys charging you, and like you just like freeze up, because you're trying to fumble with your weapon, and you're trying to think like, what do I have equipped? I need my lancer equipped. And like, there's so many times I've been frozen in just fear, and I got killed because I completely screwed up. Just remember too that with enemies having less health in this difficulty, putting them down is easier than on insane, because they have less health. So just but it's a double-edged sword a lot of the times too, because even though they have less health, and conceivably they're easier to put down, enemies can be firing at you and putting you down faster too. So it's just something that you've got to decide what you want to do. I just prefer to start the chainsaw war from the safety of over here. And to win these chainsaw wars, you have to, it's the rapidity with which you press the B button, and it's also how fast you start initially to press the B button. Those are the two factors that will win you the chainsaw war, because there's many a time in this game where you're going to get chainsawed, you're going to lose, and you're going to just like throw your head up and just say, what the fuck happened? Like, I was tapping the B button. Why the fuck did I lose? You don't want to lose over here. You could also get headshots like this with them turned behind. See that? If you rewind that, he was turned away from me, and I still got him. Because the long shot bullet, it goes through their back, and it pops their head from behind. It's a thing of absolute beauty. So yeah, if you're curious about why you're losing, it's because you're not starting to press the B button fast enough, and you're not furiously tapping the B button. We're talking about like God of War 1, Satyr sort of nonsense with tapping the O button, where you almost break your fucking thumb. Got another war? Yep. And then at around about this point, when you've nearly see another did he get killed? I'm pretty sure he got killed, but look at all these chargers. He went after my teammate instead. Alright, good job, Del. So, again, when you come down here, just make sure that you kill the sniper down here. Make sure you deal with any chargers, and then just make sure that all of the guys behind these sand barracks over there, make sure that they're all taken care of. And then once the dust is all settled, then you're going to push forward. And then you're going to have to deal with 2 more guys without a checkpoint, and they sneak up on you. And it's a little unfair if you don't know about it, but if you know about it, then you should be prepared for it. Okay, so I believe the dust has settled. I'm going to tentatively push forward up here. And the tripwire for this last pair of enemies is somewhere up here. Now, the first time I endeavored to cross over it, I didn't go far enough over it. So here's my first attempt. So that wasn't far enough. You actually have to approach those blue boxes a little bit more, and then just pivot with a 180 turn, and then I don't know exactly who we have here. It's probably just a Nasher, not a Grenadier. It could be a Grenadier. Is that a Grenadier? Possible. It's possible that that's a Grenadier. Now, how much do those two guys get up in your face, and like, will they charge you? From my experience, they don't literally get like right up to your face, like where you can like just touch them, but they sometimes they get a little bit too close for comfort. And Act 3-3, guys, cleared. That's the extent of it. I hope it helped you, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.